Awakening isn't just about changing how you think. It's also about changing what you mentally consume. You begin to notice that the news doesn't only inform you about the world, it quietly plants fear in your mind, layer by layer. You see that endless online arguments don't actually make anyone better. They just exhaust people and reinforce the belief that the world is falling apart. The songs you listen to every night, if they're filled with loss and despair, slowly place a sadness inside you that was never yours to begin with. Everything you take in leaves a thin residue in the mind, and one day, it hits you. You're not sad because of your own life. You're sad because you've absorbed the grief of society. What you feed your mind works the same way as what you feed your body. No one eats junk and expects to feel healthy. Yet somehow, we let our minds consume endless drama, rage-filled stories, complaints, and argument videos, and then wonder why we feel restless, heavy, drained for no clear reason. Most of us grow up following scripts that were written long before we were aware of them. Study well, stay stable, learn how to fit in so we can be accepted. We learn when to smile, when to blend in, and how not to stand out. But one day, you realize you've worn that mask for so long that you've forgotten the face underneath. And when that mask starts to feel tight, instead of relief, you feel panic. Take it off, and you don't know what's waiting behind it. Keep it on, and you can't breathe anymore. I know that feeling. It's like standing between two worlds. The old one is familiar, but no longer fits. The new one hasn't fully taken shape yet. You start looking at once normal conversations through different eyes. Bragging, comparisons, casual talk about who's happier, who's richer. It suddenly feels empty, to the point where you just want to stand up and walk away. Not because you feel above anyone, but because you no longer belong there. The energy no longer blends, like two waves out of sync. I remember sitting at a gathering with old friends. They laughed, talked, and shared stories. I used to think those moments preserved youth. But that day, I felt like a lost guest. The laughter was loud but hollow. Conversations moved without landing anywhere. I watched faces, emotions, coffee cups clinking together, and suddenly felt like I was standing outside a beautiful frame I no longer recognized. I didn't suddenly dislike them. I just wasn't moving in the same current anymore. They stayed the same. I had changed. When you begin to awaken, you don't lose old relationships because you've become cold or careless. You simply stop forcing yourself to keep playing roles. Your heart starts seeking conversations that feel real, people who make you feel seen, rather than people you have to adjust yourself for. This isn't about abandoning anyone. It's about returning to yourself. Stepping away from what once felt familiar isn't easy. Sometimes it feels destabilizing, like you're losing a piece of your own memory. But loneliness at this stage isn't a punishment. It's more like the brief sting before light floods eyes that have lived in darkness for too long. Don't rush to judge yourself. Don't assume something is wrong with you. You're simply returning, and returning always begins with silence. If you feel yourself stepping out of old circles, don't be afraid. You're not leaving people behind. You're leaving a version of yourself that was straining just to survive. When your heart grows tired of pretending to be normal, that isn't weakness. It's the first signal of awakening, a quiet message that your soul wants honesty, wants space to breathe, wants to live without squeezing itself into someone else's mold. Today, take a quiet moment. Sit alone, no noise, no social media. Place a hand on your chest and ask yourself, am I living as myself, or living to meet other people's expectations? Don't force an answer right away. Just asking the question means you're already halfway home. Here's a truth few people talk about. When you start changing, it isn't the world abandoning you. It's the unconscious layers within you peeling away. Conversations that once felt lively now feel distant, not because people have become worse, but because your mind is craving something else. It craves honesty without performance. It craves real questions. Are you okay? What are you actually searching for in this life? Instead of polite exchanges and quiet competitions over who's living right, you may find yourself standing in a crowd, not lonely, but separate from the noise of the outside world, listening to what's rising from deep within your chest. You realize that for so long, you weren't speaking to people's souls, you were speaking to their habits. And once that realization lands, you no longer want to fill time with meaningless meetups. You lose patience for relationships where both sides are just maintaining appearances. I remember sitting in a crowded cafe when an old friend asked, "Why have you disappeared lately? You don't seem as enthusiastic anymore." I smiled, unsure how to answer. How do you explain that you're not angry at anyone? You just don't want to chase conversations that leave you empty afterward? How do you say you're tired of proving that you're fine, happy, still fitting in? If I said I needed silence to find myself, they'd think I was strange. But staying quiet made me seem distant, so I kept it simple. I guess I'm changing. I saw a brief flicker of confusion in their eyes, and then it passed. Maybe you've been there too. You didn't leave anyone. You just stepped out of roles that no longer fit. Others see you drifting away, but in reality, you're moving closer to yourself. Because at some point, you realize that holding on to a relationship out of fear of losing it means losing yourself first, and that price is never worth paying. At first, stepping away from the familiar feels like missing a step on a staircase you thought was still there beneath your foot. But eventually, you realize that the emptiness isn't as frightening as you once thought. It's like the pause in a piece of music, the silence that gives the melody its soul. Without pauses, music is just noise, and without moments of separation, life becomes nothing more than an endless chase, running without knowing where you're headed. Remember this: the first silence and the first loneliness are not signs of loss. They are invitations. Invitations to turn inward and notice what is shifting inside you. You haven't lost your friends. You're rediscovering your essence within connection. You're not distancing yourself from others. You're learning how to stop abandoning yourself. If one day you find that old conversations no longer fit, don't force yourself. If you can't pretend to be interested anymore, allow yourself to step back. Not everyone is meant to walk with you for a lifetime. Some people come to teach you how to open your heart. Some come to teach you how to close it at the right time. And a rare few stay, not because you cling to them, but because they recognize that your silence is part of the story that has shaped who you are today. This week, try choosing one conversation you usually join out of habit, and step back just a little. Instead of forcing yourself to blend in, simply listen to what's happening inside you. If your heart feels tired and your mind feels empty, give yourself permission to leave gently. No explanations needed, just honesty with yourself. Sometimes, maturity isn't about connecting more. It's about daring to stay silent when your soul needs space to breathe. There's a strange phase that almost everyone who enters the awakening journey experiences. You begin to lose interest in pleasing others. Not because you've become cold, but because, after countless attempts to be loved, accepted, and approved of, you realize the greatest cost wasn't time or energy, it was yourself. The exhaustion of always being appropriate, likable, and emotionally convenient builds up little by little, until one day, you simply can't do it anymore. In the past, you may have been very good at adjusting yourself. You knew how to say the right things, how to make people comfortable, how to hide raw emotions to display a socially approved version of maturity. But one day, in the middle of an ordinary conversation, you hear yourself saying something you don't actually believe. And in that exact moment, a small voice rises. Why am I doing this? That voice isn't loud, but it's strong enough to stop you. This isn't rebellion, it's awakening. We grow up with a natural desire to be recognized, a look of approval, a compliment, a nod of agreement. They're like small doses of sugar that keep us performing, keep us trying to fit in. But the longer you live, the more you see how fragile that validation really is. It shifts with other people's moods, their standards, their stories, not with who you truly are. And eventually, you don't get tired of them. You get tired of yourself for trying for so long. I remember once posting something honest on social media. No filters, no polish. Just a few lines sharing a very real moment. No one responded. At first, I felt a bit disappointed. Then I laughed, because I suddenly understood. I didn't write it to be validated. I wrote it because my heart needed to speak. That silence taught me a deeper lesson than any applause ever could. Real value doesn't need noise to exist. When you start trusting your own heartbeat, you stop living to match someone else's rhythm. You stop asking what people will think and start asking whether something feels true to you. You stop reshaping yourself to fit someone else's mold. You understand that the right people will meet you where you're real, not where you pretend. This path isn't always easy. Some days you wonder whether you're being selfish or simply protecting the most honest part of yourself. There are moments when you feel unanchored, because when you stop using other people's approval to measure your worth, you have to learn how to look inward. That can feel lonely, but it's the kind of loneliness that leads to growth, not emptiness. And then a quiet but powerful realization arrives. You don't have to please others to deserve existing. You don't have to prove kindness by always agreeing. You don't have to be cheerful when your heart is trembling. Say no when you need to. Step back when you're tired. Speak honestly, even when your voice shakes. These are all steps toward returning to yourself. Tonight, spend 5 minutes in front of a mirror. Not to fix your appearance, just look into your own eyes and gently ask, how much of my life have I lived for myself? And how much for other people's expectations? Don't rush the answer, just be honest. And if tomorrow you say no to something that weighs heavily on you, see it not as rejecting the world, but as the first small act of choosing yourself. At some point, you'll notice something small that changes everything. What you put into your mind is no different from what you put into your body. No one eats garbage and expects to be healthy. Yet strangely, we let our minds consume endless drama, anger-filled stories, complaints, and argument videos, and then wonder why we feel anxious, mentally heavy, and drained for no clear reason. Awakening isn't just about changing thoughts, it's about changing your mental diet. You begin to see that news doesn't only update you on the world, it slowly plants fear. Endless online debates don't truly help anyone. They exhaust people and convince them the world is getting worse. The songs you listen to each night, if they're filled with loss and despair, gradually place sadness inside you that doesn't belong to you. Every piece of content you absorb leaves a thin layer in your mind. And one day, you're startled to realize you're not sad because of your own life, but because you've absorbed the collective sadness of society. I remember waking up one morning feeling as heavy as if I'd carried stones all night. Nothing bad had happened, yet my mind felt worn down. When I retraced the previous day, I saw it clearly. Nearly an hour of negative news, a few comment section arguments, and a playlist full of aching songs. No one hurt me, but I had allowed my mind to be slowly eroded by things that seemed harmless. That was the first time I truly understood that the mind needs to be nourished with peace, just as the body needs clean water to survive. From that day on, I started observing my intake habits. I noticed that when I touched my phone before touching my own breath in the morning, the entire day felt slightly clouded. But just a few minutes of quiet, a few deep breaths, or a gentle song made my mind feel clearer and more spacious. Not because life changed, but because I changed what I allowed inside. If you've ever wondered why some days you feel exhausted despite doing nothing physically demanding, look at what your mind has been consuming. We track calories for the body, but rarely notice emotional calories. Unconscious information consumption is more draining than you think. It's like constant background noise that leaves the mind with no place to rest. This shift often happens quietly. One day, you leave group chats filled with complaints. You choose natural sounds over loud videos. You turn off the TV when the news starts breeding anxiety. No one tells you to do this. You just feel the difference when your mind becomes cleaner. Your inner space widens, and in that space, real thoughts finally have room to emerge. You begin to hear yourself more clearly, without becoming a monk, without deleting Netflix or social media entirely. Awakening isn't about shutting the world out, it's about reclaiming choice. You decide what you take in, instead of passively absorbing everything. That's a gentle kind of freedom, not extreme, not proud, just respect for your own energy. Tomorrow morning, try starting your day without touching your phone for the first 30 minutes. Drink water, breathe deeply, open a window, play a soft song, or simply sit in silence. It won't create instant miracles, but it shapes the emotional rhythm of your entire day. And sometimes, life doesn't change through grand gestures, but through a single morning where the world doesn't pull you away before you return to yourself. There's something people rarely admit. Most of our exhaustion doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from trying to control things that were never truly in our hands. We cling to plans, expectations, timelines, outcomes, as if letting go would cause life itself to slip through our fingers. Yet the tighter we grip, the more anxious we become, like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. I once believed that maturity meant having everything planned out. Career paths, relationship milestones, achievements by a certain age. But life, in its own quiet way, kept turning everything in a different direction. When I was younger, I felt frustrated, disappointed, even like a failure. Then one day, in a quiet moment, I looked back and realized the paths I thought were wrong turns led me somewhere my most beautiful plans could never have imagined. People don't say this enough. Sometimes life moves you not to break you, but to place you exactly where you belong. That place just wasn't part of your old imagination. And when you insist on steering everything, you miss the doors that only appear when you're quiet enough to notice. I once lost an opportunity I had poured all my hope into. I remember the disappointment clearly. It felt like the world had turned its back on me. A month later, I met someone who led me down a completely different path, one that became the biggest turning point of my life. If I had clung to what I thought I needed, I might never have reached what was truly meant for me. Not every loss is an ending. Sometimes it's just a comma, a pause that allows another direction to appear. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means doing your part with a clear, awake heart and allowing life to do its part. You plant seeds with kindness. You tend the soil with effort. But you don't stand there shouting at the tree to grow on your schedule. Some things only bloom when their season arrives. No earlier, no later. And on days when the future feels unclear, remember, not seeing the path doesn't mean there is no path. Some journeys reveal themselves step by step, with just enough light for the next move, not a flood of sunlight illuminating the entire road. That's how life teaches you to trust your steps instead of a perfect map on paper. Don't forget, we were once children who trusted the wind, the current, our instincts, without detailed plans. The world taught us doubt, but the soul remembers what it feels like to trust. And when you begin listening to that call again, you understand that some steps aren't guided by logic or analysis, but by a very subtle feeling in your chest. Keep going. Just keep going. No one truly controls life. People only choose between two options: resisting the current and exhausting themselves, or trusting it and learning how to glide with it. And believe me, sometimes what looks like everything is collapsing is simply the old ground being cleared, so a stronger foundation can be built. Tonight, write down 3 things you're trying to control so tightly that they're creating tension in you. Place your hand over each one and whisper, "I allow this to unfold in its own way." You don't have to believe it immediately. Just try. Letting go isn't losing. Sometimes it's the only way your hands open enough to receive something more beautiful than you could have imagined. There's a very specific moment on the awakening path. The first time you catch yourself judging someone and immediately feel sadness. Not because they did something wrong, but because you suddenly understand that judgment isn't about them. It's about the part of you that hasn't healed yet. Before, when someone behaved in a way you didn't like, it was easy to label them selfish, stupid, toxic. But the more awake you become, the more clearly you see the roots behind human behavior. Everyone is fighting a battle you can't see, and sometimes judgment is just fear inside us, looking for somewhere to attach. I once noticed myself feeling irritated by someone who constantly bragged about their achievements. On the surface, I thought I just disliked that type of person. But when I looked deeper, I realized the discomfort was touching my own ego, the part of me that once wanted recognition but didn't dare admit it. They weren't hurting me. Their presence was reflecting something in me I hadn't accepted yet. When you see that, anger dissolves and understanding begins to open. The world is full of people carrying hidden wounds behind smiles. Some speak loudly because they were never truly heard. Some act cold because their hearts were once soft enough to be torn apart. Some criticize because they've never felt whole inside themselves. When you see this, judgment becomes heavy, and compassion grows lighter and wider. Forgiveness stops feeling like something you should do and becomes something you choose to do, so your own heart can rest. As judgment fades, you also begin to look at yourself more gently. You remember times you were stubborn, not because you were cruel, but because you were afraid of losing. Times you said things that hurt others, not because you wanted to hurt them, but because you didn't yet know how to love in a healthier way. Awakening doesn't make you perfect. It simply helps you stop whipping yourself with expectations. You begin to ask, if I can understand and forgive others, why can't I offer that to myself? The day you stop judging yourself is also the day you stop judging the world. Not because people changed, but because you changed how you see. And that doesn't weaken you. It gives you a quiet kind of strength. The strength of someone who knows an open heart isn't fragile. It just doesn't react from a place of defense anymore. A peaceful person isn't someone who never gets touched. It's someone who doesn't need to fight every time they are. You become quieter. You listen more. You interrupt less to be right. You try less to make people understand you. You choose peace over victory, not because you surrender, but because you understand not every battle is worth trading your life energy for. Awakening teaches this. Compassion isn't weakness. It's the mark of someone who has seen enough pain to not want to add more. Real strength is the ability to stand in front of your own mistakes and others and choose understanding instead of condemnation. Not everyone is brave enough for that, but when you begin to practice it, you'll feel the world soften with every step you take. This week, when someone triggers you, don't react immediately. Ask quietly, what might they be lacking that makes them act this way? Then ask again, what part of me is being touched right now? Just looking this way is enough to soften your heart. No speeches, no fixing, just understanding, and letting that understanding make you lighter. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from work or other people. It comes from replaying the same old stories in your mind, from casting yourself as the victim in your own life. At first, you think you're just venting to feel better. But one day, you notice some pains happened years ago, and yet you're still holding them tightly, as if they define who you are. I used to repeat the same past stories. Who disappointed me, where I was hurt, which opportunities I missed because someone didn't believe in me. Every time I told them, I thought I was releasing something, but in truth, I was clinging to the past as proof that I was worthy of sympathy. I didn't realize I was carrying those memories like stones in my pocket, growing heavier every day, yet refusing to put them down. One night, I heard myself retelling a story so worn it no longer carried emotion. I suddenly fell silent, not because I had nothing left to say, but because I realized something. I had turned my pain into part of my identity. It wasn't just something that happened anymore. It was the story I used to tell. This is who I am. That moment felt like seeing my reflection and not recognizing the person looking back. And I asked myself, if I put this pain down, what would be left? The answer came slowly, but clearly. What would remain is me. Not the wounded self, but the one capable of healing. To reach that place, you have to step out of familiar roles. The victim, the abandoned one, the one who must always carry everything alone. Those roles aren't wrong, they're just old, and you weren't born to live inside them forever. Sometimes we hold on to pain because we think letting go means forgiving, and forgiving feels like losing. But forgiveness isn't defeat, it's choosing peace instead of imprisoning yourself in a memory with no windows. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, it simply keeps the past from hijacking your future. Awakening doesn't erase pain instantly. It helps you see when you're feeding it instead of healing it. And when you stop seeking validation through pain, you begin finding strength through growth. A sad story stops being something to display and becomes something to release. A truly mature person isn't someone who was never hurt. They just don't let hurt become the reason they stop living, loving, or trusting. They know there are chapters only they can save themselves from, not through force, but through gentle acceptance. This happened, but it wasn't me. You'll know you're healing when old pain visits and you don't invite it to stay. When stories that once made you cry now only draw a long breath, without the urge to retell them for sympathy. When you look back, and instead of asking, "Why did they hurt me?" you quietly ask, "What did this teach me?" Strangely, the more you let go, the lighter you become. Not because you forgot everything, but because you were gentle enough not to drag the past into the present every day. Choose one old story you often repeat, even if only in your mind. Today, instead of asking, "Why me?" try writing a different question. What is this trying to teach me about myself? Then tear the paper up, not to deny the past, but to remind your heart that you deserve to walk forward with lighter hands and a wider chest. There's a quiet but powerful moment in inner maturity when pain and drama stop attracting you. Once, even small things shook your heart. Someone misunderstood you, you reacted. Someone didn't get you, you got angry. A small conflict and you rushed to explain, prove, be right. Then one day, you're sitting in the middle of an argument and realize you don't want to participate. Not because you lack logic, but because you see that winning often brings more exhaustion, while peace is the real reward. Something inside you slows down and deepens. You realize it's not situations that hurt you, but your reactions to them. Reactions built from old defenses, old memories, unnamed wounds. And once you see them, you stop letting them control you. I used to hate being misunderstood. One wrong comment and I'd rush to explain, correct, even argue until I was drained. I thought the truth needed protection, but what I was really protecting wasn't truth. It was my image in others' eyes. One day, sitting alone, I realized, if my heart knows who I am, what power does a wrong opinion really have? That realization loosened an invisible rope that had been tightening around me for years. From then on, I let life move at a gentler pace. Those who understand, understand. Those who don't, I let them think what they need to think. I no longer feel the need to explain everything. Not because I dismiss others, but because I value freedom more than being right. Some things can be right and still feel heavy. Some silences feel light, like a morning breeze passing through your mind. You stop asking how to be understood and start asking whether something costs you your peace. If it does, you step away. Not to win, just not to lose yourself. Some will say you've changed. Some will call you distant or cold. Only you know that today's silence isn't escape. It's a different kind of victory. The victory of no longer reacting to everything. Silence here isn't weakness. It's the sign of someone who no longer needs to prove strength. The world is loud now. Everyone wants to speak. Everyone wants to be right. Everyone believes they see the whole picture. But the truly mature ones know when to stop, when to drop the answer, when to release the weight in their chest, and step out of conflict as lightly as a leaf falling not from force, but because the season has changed. In the coming days, when something triggers you, pause for 10 seconds, just 10. Take a slow breath and ask, If I don't react, what really happens? Most of the time, the answer is nothing, except that you keep your peace. And when you choose peace over being right, you don't lose. You rise into a deeper layer of inner freedom. At some point in awakening, you enter a phase that feels like walking into fog. You no longer belong to who you were, but you haven't fully stepped into who you're becoming. Everything inside feels like it's shifting seasons. Old passions don't move you the same way, and the new light hasn't revealed itself yet. Relationships, habits, thoughts stand at a threshold, either evolving or falling away. Many people panic here. They think they're losing their old self without finding a new one. But this is a soul transition. Silence here isn't emptiness. It's soil resting before it blooms. I've been there, sitting in a room where everything looked normal, yet inside it felt like passing through a dark hallway between worlds. Not painful, not joyful, just still, like my mind was holding its breath, waiting. I didn't want gatherings. I didn't want to talk much, not because I wanted distance, but because I needed to hear myself clearly. That silence wasn't lost. It was a meeting with the deepest part of me. We're used to living in noise, voices telling us what to do, who to be, what to keep up with. When the noise disappears, it feels strange, even unsettling. But in that quiet, you finally hear your real desires, your honest questions, the decisions shaping your path. What do I truly need? What brings me peace? What part of myself have I neglected? Not everyone dares to stay in this transition. Some rush back to old habits to escape uncertainty. Some seek someone else to fill the space. But those who stay, who sit beside silence and face their raw thoughts, emerge with clearer eyes, calmer hearts, and steadier steps. This space isn't an ending. It's like a winter morning before dawn. Cold, quiet, deep. Only those willing to feel it can sense the light preparing to arrive. You begin to see that the outer world doesn't need to change much. A shift inside is enough to change everything. Your intuition sharpens. You learn to distinguish fear's voice from your soul's whisper. You slow down. You stop chasing proof. You accept that some answers arrive only when you stop pursuing them. Something gentle happens next. You meet people like you, quiet, unpretentious, not racing invisible competitions. They enter your life softly but leave a deep sense of safety. Not because they're perfect, but because they don't pretend. These connections arrive not when you cling, but when you're full enough not to need clinging anymore. You're not losing your old life. You're preparing for a life where you don't live to fit, but to be real. And sometimes the loneliness on this path is proof you're going the right way. The soul needs space to breathe, to root, before it blooms. In the coming days, don't rush to fill every gap with activity or connection. Instead, spend 15 minutes each evening turning off screens, dimming the lights, sitting quietly, and asking, if I didn't need to prove anything, who would I truly want to become? Don't rush the answer. Let it live inside you. It will arrive on its own, like water finding its path. One day, you'll look back and realize what you thought were losses were actually exchanges. You let go of some people to meet yourself. You released old dreams to make room for real ones. You dropped noise to hear your inner call. You didn't change, you returned. You move more slowly now, not from exhaustion, but because you no longer chase what you don't need. You speak more carefully, not out of fear, but out of respect for your energy. You love others not to fill yourself, but because your heart is wide enough to give without fear of lack. And you love yourself, not through loud affirmations, but through simple acts. A peaceful morning, a deep breath, a gentle no when your heart is tired. You stop needing to prove. You stop rushing to arrive. You understand life isn't a sprint. It's a gradual unveiling of who you are. And when uncertainty comes, you don't panic. You trust, not blindly, but deeply, that beneath every shift, life isn't against you. It's guiding you. One day, you'll sit quietly and look back at chapters you thought you'd never survive, and smile, Not because you're invincible, but because you were soft, fragile, broken, and still here. Not strong like steel, but resilient like water. You realize happiness isn't having everything. It's being fully present with what is. Not applause, but the quiet where your heart doesn't shrink from fear of judgment. Awakening doesn't make you perfect. It returns to you the privilege of living honestly, a privilege many of us lose while trying to become someone else. And when you look deeply, you see there's no one you need to become beyond yourself. The soft, real version of you is enough. This journey can feel lonely, but it's the loneliness of a seed in the dark soil, quiet, unseen, already growing. And then the question shifts. It's no longer what do I need to do to be accepted, but do I have the courage to live aligned with the soul I chose? Because no one can live for you. No one can carry the whispers in your chest at night. And only you know which path makes your heart feel lightest, truest, most alive. This journey has no final destination, only layers of realization. And with each realization, your inner world widens, like ripples spreading across water. Small but far-reaching. If tomorrow you wake up with no fear at all, who would you choose to be? Pause for a few seconds and answer honestly inside. You'll hear something true, something your heart has wanted to say for a long time. If this resonated with you, leave a comment. I am awakening. And don't forget to follow the channel so we can continue walking together through healing, awareness, and the quiet return to ourselves, one breath, one step, one conscious moment at a time.